Hello everyone, my name is Ian. Welcome back to my hobby YouTube channel in brief book and film reviews. So today I'm just going to give you a quick book review to a book I read about 5 years ago actually. I wanted to give this, I was clearing out some old books and stuff, and I wanted to come online and give this book a review. I'd forgot I read it, and I definitely feel it's worthy of giving a book review. And it's called Bret The Hitman Hart. And Bret The Hitman Hart was a very famous wrestler from Canada who worked and operated out of the WWF at the time, and then it became the WWE, and then also went on to wrestle for WCW, I think, amongst other organizations also. This book was actually published in 2007, Random House Canada, and then it was republished by Ebury Publishers or Ebury Press in 2009. It's about 553 pages long, and it's a really incredible story of a guy who had lived the whole life of a wrestler, right from the word go, from when he was just an infant, and basically dedicated all his life to the craft of wrestling, that is the entertainment side of it. So Bret Hart comes from a very distinguished family of wrestlers. His father was a wrestler beforehand, and most of his brothers and cousins, nieces and nephews then went on to become wrestlers also. Just on the front of the book, it says by The Rock, who is Dwayne Johnson, a very famous Hollywood actor now, who used to wrestle as The Rock in the 90s and the 90s. A legend. He's a legend. The Sun states it's the best wrestling book there ever will be. On the back of the book, it says, amazing detailed and meticulously crafted Hitman will stand the test of time as one of the definitive wrestling biographies. That was by the Publishers Weekly. Bret Hart still makes me believe that wrestling is good. Hulk Hogan, I actually read his book also, and I'll come back to that now. Packed with drugs, sex, a vicious family, infighting, and tales of life on the road, Hart names and lays it all bare in his own words. Globe and Mail. That's from the Globe and Mail. A story of death, sex, betrayal and revenge, sweat, steroids and duplicity. Bret Hart lifts the lid on wacky, mythic, secretive world of pro wrestling in this epic telltale. This book, I think it cost me around about 20 euros or something, 5 or 6 years ago. And it's international bestseller. So yeah, so the story of Bret Hart, he starts off as a young kid, wrestling. He knows nothing, except wrestling. As a kid growing up, he tells the tales of how his father, I think it was Stu Hart, who used to have like a dungeon downstairs in the house or in the basement, and he used to train up wannabe professional wrestlers and amateur wrestlers. Bret tells how he'd often hear screams of the wannabe wrestlers while Stu was showing them the moves and really hooking up their arms and hardening up the craft and stuff like that. He then goes on and talks about signing for the WWE, but he talks more about his family at the start and how he gets involved in it. He's he's 4 girlfriends and all that kind of stuff. He then talks about his family in the business, how his father had a promotion and then was bought out by Vince McMahon. And he then goes on to talk about signing for the WWE, his career as a tag team specialist. Even before that, with I think it was one of the Bulldogs. I think it wasn't Davey Boy Bulldog. It was another one. I can't think of his name at the moment. He talks about that. He talks about the Japan circuit, going over to Japan, then in his trade over there, also coming back, working with Jimmy Hart, and then working with Jim the Anvil Neidhart. And the tag teams, talk about his rivalry with the Rockers, the Nasty Boys. It's all in there. He talks about in depth about other wrestlers, how he's seen as a family, how he used to draw cartoon drawings. He talks about fantastic wrestlers such as Andre the Giant, Bam Bam Bigelow, Earthquake, Tugboat, loads of wrestlers who have, unfortunately, the majority of them are actually all passed away now. Wrestling was it was definitely a big part of my childhood growing up, and that I used to love watching it in the early 90s. I think that was the golden era as well, from say I think 87 maybe till about 97, no, 87 to 97, that 10-year stint, and that was just, it was seen as the golden era and that. And Bret Hart, he was a champion at all. You know, he was a tag team champion, intercontinental champion, and a world champion also. So he talks about people like Curt Hennig, Mr. Perfect, Shawn Michaels, Marty Jannetty. It goes on, and he talks about his family. He talks about also the participation in you know, in certain things that he shouldn't have done on the road, you know, as a wrestler, how tough a lot of wrestlers found it, and how tough he found it, the lucrative money side of wrestling, but being away from your family also as well. And there's a lot of stuff I'm sure that he didn't even talk about that went on, but he does go into depth about a lot of stuff. You really have to read it. I'll give you an example. He talks about like when he went over to Japan and that, and he was kind of suffering, wanted to be home more often and that, and he was just trying to make money and build up the promotion, and he going out and, you know, getting a couple of young women and, you know, take him back to his apartment and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, so it's a really good in-depth book that I think that a lot of not just wrestling fans but maybe sports fans could look at and identify with. You know, football stars, you know, you hear about them all the time being playboys and stuff like that, and for me it's just like it's small print as well, so I'll take a time to get through it. But to me, it is the most definitely probably one of the best autobiography books I've read from a sports person. He really does go into it. And one thing I found about this, the most important thing, or the most interesting thing I found about the book, was the fact that he's very open. He talks about being about his mistakes, you know, and he talks about him being, you know, unfair to other fighters. He talks about other fighters as well, that their attitudes towards him and his attitude towards other fighters and stuff. He gives various incidents, and I think he's very open about it, you know, and that's great to see. You know, sometimes you get a lot of sports athletes, and they kind of tend to be, it's a lot of pride and ego with them, but he admits that he has been egotistical in the past. He's had a lot of anger and hate and stuff like that, but as he got on and realised in life, he kind of had to let it go, and it was just eating him up and destroying him inside. So it's a fantastic book. It's a marvellous read. Like I said, a lot of people have given a good feedback about this, so I just wanted to come online and give a quick book to a fantastic book I read a long time ago. So that's it for today. I hope everyone's staying safe and keeping safe, and hope everyone's having a fantastic day today, whatever you're doing. Take care, stay blessed, all the best.